course, by the time you see this, it'll probably be afternoon. I've got something on the wall behind me driving me nuts I have to clean. I wanted to get into something today that I found very interesting over, I think it was Friday. It could have been Saturday, but I believe it was Friday. So I was looking at the banks, and JPMorgan Chase Assessment Management launches JPMorgan Active China ETF, JCHI. Okay, so on March 16th, JPMorgan Asset Management announced today the launch of its newest active ETF, the JPMorgan Active China ETF, JCHI. The fund is designed to provide investors with access to a best ideas portfolio of Chinese equities and focuses on an investment process driven by bottom-up stock selection while being mindful and macro of policy considerations. The fund is managed by JPMorgan Asset Management Asia Pacific Limited and comprehensively leverages the Greater China research team within JPMorgan's Emerging Markets in Asia Pacific, EMAP. Equities team, which has an extensive local research footprint that seeks to identify high conviction ideas. It is priced at 65 basis points. The launch of JPMorgan Active China ETF is another example of our commitment to delivering innovative and differentiated investment solutions to clients, said Byron Lake, Global Head of ETF Solutions at JPMorgan Asset Management. I'm going to leave a link to this article in the description of this video. And I could go on to skim through and read the whole thing, but I wanted to bring something up. So, who owns JPMorgan? Well, let's talk about the Vanguard Group. Top 10 owners of JPMorgan. The Vanguard Group, BlackRock, SSGA Fund Management, Capital Research and Management. My computer's acting funny today. Geode Capital Management, Capital Research and Management, Wellington Management, Fidelity Management and Research Company, Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, Massachusetts Financial Services. So you guys get the gist. You guys can look up who owns what. So it just raised a lot of questions for me. Together, BlackRock and Vanguard own 18% of Fox, 16% of CBS, 13% of Comcast, which owns NBC, MSNBC, CNBC, and the Sky Media Group, 12% of CNN, and 12% of Disney, which owns a number of subsidiaries. Do you guys see the rabbit hole that I'm in? Yeah. So TJ sent me something
Did you know that China
about China has done in the helmets of soldiers, and I'm just going to play this. You guys will just be hearing the audio.
They're soldiers with helmets that have a self-destruct button. Let me repeat that. Chinese soldiers stationed in Tibet are being issued helmets that have self-destruct buttons. You press the button and a bomb that's embedded in the helmet goes off and kills the soldier. In fact, Chinese state-run media published an article bragging about these new helmets, writing, quote, "If a soldier is seriously wounded and doesn't want to be captured, he can activate the self-destruct function himself. This can maintain his dignity." However, the soldier is not the only one who can activate the function. The report also mentioned that a commander who oversees the soldier can activate the helmet as well. And so what's the reason for all this? Well, the Chinese military has been, over the last several years now, struggling with soldiers deserting. And thus far, they've been using severe punishments against deserters, such as banning them from public transport, banning them from attending school, from operating a business, and even from getting a passport. And now, they will be forced to fight, or otherwise, they will be killed by their commander. Is this an example of the communist disregard for human life? Leave your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more. Did you know that China has been...
Okay, so... yeah, TJ sent me that overnight. My husband over at Dig Deeper Ministry had mentioned something that we were talking about that morning about North Korea overnight, like within one day, about 800,000 of their citizens signing up for the military. A lot of us don't think that that was voluntary. And as you just heard from China with the helmets, there's a lot of people wanting out. So now they've figured out a way to put the smackdown on that. Yeah. We're pretty lucky in this country so far. So there's a lot of opportunities, they say at JPMorgan, Active China, in China that investors want to invest in with intentionally, and we are excited to offer them a strategic option to capitalize on. Why is an American bank doing this? These are just questions that I want you guys to ask yourselves. And I also, if you find it worthy, I want you guys to investigate this for yourself. It's, you got the Federal Reserve and everything that's been going on there. Banks like JPMorgan and other banks will also be getting richer and stronger because of the other banks that went under, like Silicon Valley and California. So Zacks Industry Outlook highlights JPMorgan Chase, Bank of America, and the Bank of New York Mellon. So on March 17th, JPMorgan Chase and Company, JPM, Bank of America Corp, BAC, and the Bank of New York Mellon Corp, BK, major regional bank industry is expected to witness muted NII and NIM performance on the contagion risk arise from the bank runs at two closed banks, higher interest rates due to the Federal Reserve aggressive hikes, which benefit the banks, and turning out to be counterproductive, worsening asset quality, recessionary risk, and gradual slowdown in loan demand are the other key headwinds. So the Zacks major regional banks industry includes the nation's largest banks in terms of assets, with most operating globally. The financial performance of these banks largely depends on the nation's economic health, as the banks are involved in several complex financial activities. Well, of course. So, this includes credit and debit cards, mortgage banking, wealth management, and investment banking, among others. Therefore, a large revenue source for the banks is fees and commissions earned with these services. The Fed's ultra-aggressive monetary policy over the past year led the rates to each a 15-year high level. The rising interest rates are a boon for major regional banks, and they reaped substantial benefit in the higher NIM and NII in 2022. But faster rate hikes after a prolonged period of low rate have their fallout, as seen in the past week with a collapse of two S&P 500 banks, Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. And then you all know what happened with Wells and Fargo that I did a couple of Fridays ago. The central bank has announced a new expansive emergency lending program, the Bank Term Funding Program, BTFP, in an effort to limit the contagion risk. What a weird word, how to word that. Yet there are chances that other banks with unrealized losses or uninsured depositors could be at risk. And another blow to the U.S. banking sector, Moody's downgraded its outlook on this entire sector to negative, reflecting the worsening operating backdrop following bank runs at two collapsed banks. Ay. We're gonna have a very fun week, and today is I believe today's the first day of spring. So, welcome to Monday, March 20th, 2023. It's gonna be a fun ride, people. So, hold on. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. So banks are investing heavily in artificial intelligence and other digital platforms, and even acquiring providers of such services as they demand for these witnesses, and substantial ride amid the, thing we've been dealing with the past 3 years, the whole pandemic. Major regional banks are also aggressively expanding their footprint outside the United States and into UK and China. Yep, banks are reevaluating their business structure to improve operating efficiency. The main goal is to simply operations and do away with non-core, unprofitable ones. I'll also leave this in the description so you guys can read through it. So who is Byron Lake? Managing Director, Head of International ETF, JPMorgan Assessment Management. So, he's a respected figure in the ETF industry, moving up the ranks for over 15 years. There's something, I'm going to leave this article in the description also. So it says in here, after a decade and his advice to always do the dirty work. Those are really, really strange, bizarre choice of words. Yeah. So in other news, as bird flu spreads in the U.S. and worldwide, what's the risk that it could start a human pandemic? So the H5N1 avian influenza that started in 2021 has become the largest bird flu outbreak in history, both in the United States and worldwide. In the U.S., the virus has led to the destruction of millions of commercially raised chickens, turkeys, ducks, and geese, and has killed thousands of wild birds. I'll also leave this in the description. However, is this virus a serious threat to humans? Well, they have found that the H5N1, a specific type of influenza virus predominantly harbored by birds, that was first detected on a goose from China in 1996. Recently, it has begun infecting and exploding diversity of birds and mammals species around the globe. So this has actually jumped from an avian thing to other mammals, and people have been infected by this. And this seems to be, it's being said that this is actually growing. And is it mutating differently? That's our question. So, it doesn't spread well between people, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. It has happened. So why is this outbreak suddenly getting so much attention? Well, may have something to do with what we've been dealing with the past 3 years. We don't want another one of these problems, correct? Economically around the world, it has affected us all mentally, some of us physically. So these animals that are also being affected by this from the avian flu are mammals including badgers, black bear, bobcats, coyotes, ferrets, fisher cats, fox, leopards, possums, pigs, skunks, and sea lions. Sea lions? So it's also in the water. Yeah. So I'm not here to make anything, I'm not here to drive fear. I'm just here to kind of get you guys' minds started in what's going on. And we keep our faith and our hope that things are going to get better. But I want you guys to plan as if it's possible and almost imminent that things are just going to keep getting worse. But I want you guys to find a place where you can sort through these things, put them into boxes, and sort through them one at a time, so that way you don't get overwhelmed. That's how I'm going to be doing this. There's a lot of things going on right now, a lot of things to cause concern. However, a lot of these things that are out of our control, I don't want you guys stressing. I don't want you guys fearing these things, because we do have an awesome God above that is in control. However, I do know that God does sometimes let things happen. And I think we might be in those times. So, as you guys go through your day, I want you guys to prepare like you've never prepared before, but don't do it in a way where it's going to stress you out. Do it because being prepared lessens the stress, because you know that you've done all you can, and let God have the rest. Y'all have a great day. God bless, and get outside and get something done. Even if it's just kind of doing something for yourself to just breathe. Watch nature. Get out in the sunshine. Get that vitamin D. Because we're going to need to be strong and healthy through all of this.